This is my homemade Batman trailer and I'm gonna show you how I made it. Alright, this is going to be the most at-home trailer I've ever made because we are currently on lockdown due to the pandemic, so I can't really go anywhere, people can't really come here, so I'm going to try and make this trailer using just stuff I have around the house, literally, and I don't really know how I'm going to do it. So the first thing I did was broke down this trailer into every single shot. There's 71 shots in total. That way I can look at it and decide what props do I need to collect, what costumes do I need to make, what am I going to do full size, what am I going to do miniature. So I have all this stuff in a utility closet. This is years and years worth of collecting, and luckily it's all pretty organized, so it was like a little treasure hunt trying to figure out if I could find most of the stuff on my list in there. I was able to find everything from like rubber boots to different trench coats to really specific glasses that I had in mind. I knew I had a motorcycle helmet in there, and then of course there's the wigs. There's 3 bins full of wigs, so I was able to pick through those and find all the wigs I needed. After my big treasure hunt, I only had to buy 2 things, which is great. It was the plastic face mask to use for the front of Batman, and then a black ski mask that I was going to use for Catwoman. I could have sworn I had one of those in there, but I couldn't find it. I wanted to start off shooting kind of easy, so I worked on some of the title cards. I was just drawing the logos out with some markers, and then this really cool Batman title screen, which I did using just an old red folder that I had, and I cut out the words with an X-Acto knife and then drew the Bat logo underneath, and then just used my iPhone to kind of point down at it and move the paper a certain way, kind of mimic the movement of the logo. By the way, I pretty much shot this entire thing on my iPhone, so you can do this at home too. It's really homemade. I made this card that they find at the crime scene. The envelope says "To the Batman" in really great writing, and then I just drew the outside. It has like an owl and a skeleton that says "From your secret friend," and then I mimicked the entire inside too. And maybe I did this a little too accurately, but it was kind of too easy because there's a close-up of it on camera, so I just copied it. The trailer's only been out for a few days, but people online have already solved this cryptogram because it says, "What does a liar do when he's dead? He lies still." I made a couple other props, like got this newspaper that has lies written on it with blood. I just used red paint, of course. The only newspapers I could find were some of this junk mail that I get with ads for groceries and things. So if you look close, mine of course isn't headlines from Gotham City, it's just grocery ads. When you don't have a bat cave, just put up some LED lights. So the first costume I made was the Riddler, at least that's what people are saying online, that this is Riddler. It looks like just a guy with a kind of a duct tape mask and some glasses. So that's what I did. I just made a mask out of some black duct tape on a piece of paper and then kind of wrapped that around my head with some more black duct tape. And then I had these really great glasses. The ironic thing about making this Riddler mask is that I'm using a bunch of duct tape, and that's what he uses. He does this a lot. And I'm doing it to make his mask. And then just a big jacket, and I was able to knock out those handful of shots just wearing that very, very hot outfit. It was like 100 degrees out when I shot this.
Hey, Papa. Hey. Hey. Hey, it's me.
So on the floor in front of me, I'm using my dummy. This is the same one I've had for like 20 years. And since I was shooting this whole thing pretty much myself, it was really handy to have this dummy. I could just lay it down on the floor in front of me. Another really cool trick that I used on this one a bunch that I've never done before was being able to view my iPhone's camera through my Apple Watch. I just recently got this, and that's a really cool feature. So since I'm trying to like wear a costume and line up the shot at the same time, I could get into the shot and see exactly what was happening, compare it to the real trailer, and just like stand there and like line it up and make sure I got the motion right by looking at my watch. That came in super handy. I don't think I could have done this any other way. Out of all the episodes of homemade movies that were shot here in the house, we never had puppies, so that was a new experience. They did not like some of the props and costumes. They especially didn't like that dummy. I also used the dummy to just wrap regular duct tape all the way around the head and put some red paint on that for a few shots. Before I even made the full Batman costume, I was able to get this really great shot that's really low to the ground where you just see his boots. So I just wrapped the jacket that I was using as his cape around my, kind of my waist, I guess, just to make sure it was the right height off the ground. And then once again, I used my Apple Watch to see the view of the camera, which is over on the floor. So I was able to actually watch what I was doing while I was taking those steps. That's how I was able to like match it up so perfectly. Moving on to more Batman shots, there's a few of him without his costume. So picking the right wig was easy. He's like very emo in this. And then there's black makeup around the eyes. I'm just trying to get the hair to fall down just right. Got this one strand on my cheek. Then putting together the rest of the costume was easy. This is very homemade, of course. This is not a legit cosplay of Batman by any means. This is just black pants, black button-up western shirt, and I've got my knee pads as shoulder pads. I put that other black jacket over my shoulders as a cape. Like, that's literally it for the cape. I'm just gonna clip this to my collar. I did make the little bat logo for his chest though, so that's pretty cool. Made that out of cardboard, just sketched it out. I cut it out with an X-Acto knife, then scored some lines in it with a pen. I painted it with black spray paint, and then I added these little silver details just to make that look kind of cool. I figured between that and the mask, those are the only kind of things I was gonna spend some time on. So the mask was just that front plastic piece. I bought that for about 10 bucks at the craft store. I was able to just cut the mask right below the nose, right where I needed it, and I attached it to this other hood that I found in one of the bins. I think this was just like a snap-on hood from a jacket, so that provided the base and just kind of taped it on. I don't even think I glued it. I just used black tape, put it on the face there, and then I cut the ears out of cardboard and just taped them on. Then I spray painted the whole thing black. So there we go, that's my very homemade Batman costume. So since I am shooting this at home, I would often get the shot I needed and then immediately come and put it in the computer, drop it in the timeline, make sure it matched up and looked okay, which meant that I was wearing this costume for a while, and it's kind of funny to be like dressed as Batman and editing at the computer, but that's just the nature of doing it at home. All right, there's this super long shot where Batman just pummels this guy over and over and over, so I'm just gonna be punching the dummy, just kind of holding it up and punching it over and over, but I have to memorize every single move, so this is like a big bit of choreography here. So what I'm gonna do is shoot this with my iPhone in 4K and just make the shot extra wide so that later I can zoom in and kind of do that camera move where it follows me around, because I can't move the camera and punch the dummy at the same time. I ended up doing it so many different times until I got the choreography just right, but in the end it was kind of looking a little lackluster because I was so focused on all the right punches. So the last few takes, I just went all out and just tried to hold on to it as tight as I could and just punched it really hard. That one's good except my cape fell off. Alright, so in this trailer, I'm going to do something that we never did on homie movies, not once, which is use green screen. And that's because I'm making this here pretty much by myself, so I have to play all the characters. So to do that, I'll hang up this green sheet, and I'll record some of the elements separately and then put them together. This is the biggest departure from the way we used to make homie movies, where every single thing had to be in camera. It was sort of a rule we made up for ourselves, but sometimes that meant having like 10 different people involved in one shot that goes by in like a second or two. It's just like so many things all at once. Alright, so I've got 23 shots or parts of shots that I'm gonna try and shoot today on the green screen. So I've got the camera set up with the monitor right next to the computer so I can actually see the shot next to my shot, try and line them up as best I can while standing in front of the green screen. So I think the charm of this is that every single thing that you see is still 100% homemade, but I'm using the computer to layer things, and that's what the green screen is for. So nothing at all is CGI, nothing is computer generated, which is really how they made some of my old favorite movies like the original Superman or the original Star Wars trilogy. They're just using technology to layer things, but everything you see is still really handmade. I'm also mixing live actors, myself, with G.I. Joes, which is really fun, and I always wanted to do that. It used to be one or the other. So in this case, there's this guy with the gray beard and the gray hair. So I just put that outfit on, and the wig and beard and the glasses, and then I just positioned myself in front of the green screen, make sure the lighting kind of matched, and just knocked out those two shots of the guy. Then later, when I'm doing all the miniatures, I just set that whole scene up again with a crowd of G.I. Joes. I even got little Commissioner Gordon standing in there, and then I knew I could just take that green screen footage of myself and just plug it right into the shot. I even used this layering technique for other things too that weren't necessarily whole people. Here's a shot of Priscilla and I standing in front of this dummy doing our actions, but I was able to add a guy walking by in the foreground. So look how simple. Here's me just walking by in front of the green screen. Then I can plop that in, and then there's even some foreground elements on a table. So I just set up some things on this table, drew out the little evidence number, and then just got a separate shot of that on the green screen. So those three things are layered together to create one shot. There's one shot where Bruce tackles this guy. I think he's saving him from this car that's crashing through the room. Bruce Wayne. Which wig is Bruce Wayne? That one, that one, that one. So I've attached the dummy from the ceiling with ropes, and I'm using these little clips that will kind of break away really easily. I thought that when I tackled the dummy, those clips would release and I could like tumble to the ground with it. Okay, here we go. This could be a disaster. I just hope that the clips come off. They ended up staying attached, but that was fine. I got the shot that I needed. And then same thing for the next shot, just tackling the dummy on the ground. Here's a really good example of a shot that's half life size and half miniature. I'm just shooting the part where I land on the ground with the dummy in front of this green screen. This is is going to be the real ground, and then from there up it's green screen. And then I'll just shoot the car whizzing by miniature and put them together.
It's so awesome because for that background now I can just get super close up with my iPhone, my tiny iPhone camera, getting that Hot Wheel going by for that car. And so it just makes it look massive when you put it behind me, full size with a full-size dummy.
In a way, I'm able to use my imagination way more than usual instead of focusing on all the details on how to get every single element in camera at once. That was always the hardest part of homemade movies. There's 4 shots with these gang members. They're with the white makeup. I'm gonna record these all separately on the green screen, but they all have slightly different makeup and outfits, so I'm gonna do each one individually for each shot.
I had this huge grid where I just mapped out every single shot of each guy that I need to get and just crossed them off one by one systematically.
Okay, here's the first guy. He just has the left side of his face. Why does this guy wear so many jackets?
I went in order of like less makeup to more makeup, I guess, because each one's just a little bit different.
There's guy number 2.
So each time I would just kind of come and wipe it off a little bit, change the way it looks, change my outfit, go back out and shoot those.
Guy number 3.
So it's really easy to just look and see, oh, he turns his head or he does whatever, he takes a step, record that, go to the next one.
All right, next guy. Now I just gotta put a plastic bag on my head.
And then as promised, I used a white grocery bag on my head, which is a lot easier than using a bald cap or finding a bald friend like I used to do, Chris. Knowing I was gonna shoot this thing entirely by myself, I just figured I'd keep it really simple. I like it. One guy even has a little bit of hair, so I ended up drawing the hair back onto the bag in the end.
Okay, that's it. I just did 24 individual shots. They're all gonna combine into 4 shots with these 5 or 6 guys at a time.
It's really easy to put these all together, and by the way, I'm not using After Effects. I'm just putting this all in Premiere, which is just the editing program. This is exactly what I do. I drop the shot in. It's okay if some of the edges aren't green, because as long as the green is surrounding the subject, that's all you really need. So I do like a quick mask around my edges, just to get rid of that extra junk I don't want to see. So it's really quick to just draw that around my head and shoulders loosely. Then I just use the built-in Ultra Key plugin and drop that right onto the video. Then I just color pick the green. I try to find something in the middle, not too bright, not too dark, something right in that mid-range. And then I always go into this setting for pedestal and I raise that up a bit until some of the extra fuzz and stuff goes away. If needed, I'll bring the highlights down a little bit too. That's pretty much it. Then I've got a super clean cutout of my subject, and I just did that for each one of the guys. So all of those layers put together create the final shot. So it's really not as overwhelming as it seems if you've never done it before. It's actually quite simple to throw it together right in Premiere.
Alright, so playing the part of Catwoman is none other than my wife, Priscilla. She didn't really have a choice in the matter. We are here quarantined together, so that makes her Catwoman.
So for the Catwoman costume, I used that black ski mask that I bought on Amazon for like 10 bucks. And I drew on the shapes, looking at the pictures, trying to match up where I thought I was gonna need to cut it. But as soon as I actually cut it out, everything kind of shrunk and stretched in a weird way. And so it was all wrong. The part that goes across the nose was just way too thin and the holes were too big. It was just kind of a mess. But I just put a piece of black tape across the front to give it the right shape. It looks okay. And then I added the ears on. Those are just little pieces of cardboard attached with black tape. The rest of the costume is pretty basic. She just put on like black pants and a black leather jacket and some black boots. That's it. We were wearing these full costumes trying to shoot this thing ourselves. Did I mention it was like over 100 degrees out when we were shooting this?
Catwoman has this contraption here. I think maybe she's breaking into a safe. I just set up some tape here, and I set up this hacksaw, and then Priscilla's just gonna hold up this glue gun right here.
Kate and Pippa Morkington really wanted to be the stars of this trailer, but you can go follow them on Instagram where they are the stars.
Yeah, that's perfect.
For real?
Yeah.
There are 2 shots of Commissioner Gordon in this that weren't going to be miniatures, so I asked my good friend Tim. You may recognize him from a handful of Homemade Movies episodes. So I just went over to his house really quick. I wore my mask. We were very safe.
Oh my god.
All he needed was this wig. I made a mustache out of some paper and these thick glasses.
Yes.
As good as the real thing.
That's it. Alright, this is the very last live action shot that I have to do. So I'm setting up this table. It's got all this junk on it, the monitor. So in reality, I have the monitor is the shot that I'm matching, and then I've got the monitor of the actual camera, and then I had to get the camera as far away as possible. So I've got it way over here on these Gorilla Pod legs, barely balancing on this guitar and keyboard, just so I can get the maximum amount of space. Alright, that was the final full-size live-action shot. So now I'll move on to all miniatures.
Once all that life-size stuff was wrapped, it was time for miniatures, so I busted out some of my DIY stuff from the attic, including my collection of G.I. Joes and Hot Wheels. I did modify one of my G.I. Joes to be Commissioner Gordon, so I added a little suit and tie for him and some hair, because there's a shot of him walking into a crowded room, and I knew that we weren't going to be able to shoot that. Even with green screen, it'd be too hard, so it's just a cardboard box set up as the house, and then I just set up all the little G.I. Joes and just kind of walked them in with the camera behind. At this point, there are so many miscellaneous shots, you really just got to take them one at a time. Some of them are so random. Got the G.I. Joes, just kind of pack those in there, tape them down to the table, set some things up for the background. If it doesn't look busy enough, maybe I'll like, there's columns here, maybe I'll just add some wine bottles, something like that. So it's kind of fun to just set those up one by one until they look like the original shot, shoot it, and then tear it down and move on to the next one. There's 2 shots of the motorcycle pulling up, so I actually have this bat cycle from before, but that one's like a little specific to the Dark Knight trilogy, so I was able to take the little Batman guy that came with that one and put him on a different motorcycle I just happened to have. Looked pretty good. I didn't even bother painting it. So I set up this graveyard shot just using a green sheet as the ground, and then like another sheet just kind of for the trees or mountains in the background, and then I made a little road that gets smaller as it goes back out of duct tape, and then I used some caps from markers all along that road to use as the headstones. Then I could just push the motorcycle along using a piece of coat hanger. The motorcycle also rose up to, I think, the bat cave. It's very industrial. Like I used some books instead of staircases and just kind of stacked up some miscellaneous junk until it looked close enough, and then zip, the motorcycle just goes right in with the coat hanger. So I already had this Batman action figure. We've done so many Batman episodes in the past that I don't remember which one this came from, but I think Ben made this out of one of my old G.I. Joes. So I was able to set up the shot the way I normally would, but then I shot it in layers because I didn't have enough hands to do all of this. So I got the background guys moving one way, then I put the green screen there in front, then I got Commissioner Gordon and Batman fighting, and then I did another layer with the guys in the foreground. So in a way, it just made it so much easier because then I could just focus on one thing at a time, shoot them separately, put them all together, and then there's the finished shot. And then you wouldn't even know that there's any effects going on here. It's just a matter of layering these G.I. Joes.
This shot of Catwoman coming down through the skylight, I'm actually shooting it upside down with this crate, and I've got a light shining through the back, and I'm using Spider-Man because he's so flexible.
But since it was easier to lay the crate facing up, I just turned my computer upside down so I could see the shot upside down. Got the crate upside down. I'm shooting everything just inverted. So then I was able to just pull Catwoman out of the crate this way. And then when I flipped it all back, it looked just right. There's a couple muzzle flashes where guys are firing guns. I just drew those out on a piece of paper, cut them out, took a picture, and then dropped them into the shot. I did the same thing for the fire that blasts out of the back of the Batmobile later. It's just little animated cutouts that I made. This trailer features a really sweet looking new Batmobile. So luckily I found this car that actually looks pretty good. It had just the right shapes that I wanted. So especially like this one slow-mo shot where it's crashing through some stuff. So I just set up the street and then threw some Legos and junk right down at the car as it's coming into the frame. And so in slow motion, it looks really cool.
Alright, I just finished doing the final shot. That's 71 shots total. I've spent 2.5 weeks doing all of these shots. So tomorrow, I'm going to do all of the audio, the narration, the music, and the sound effects.
As always, I recorded the audio just using my voice, which means all the sound effects and everything. I did all the voices.
Does any of this mean anything to you?
Let's play a game, just me and you.
You're becoming quite a celebrity.
And then I did the music, of course, and this one features a cover of a Nirvana song, so that was interesting.
I'm vengeance. I'm vengeance.
Action.
I'm vengeance.
See kids, even Batman wears his mask because he's not a jerk. The bag's really worked out. Doesn't get any more homemade than this.
That's how I made it. Thanks so much for watching. I've said before that Homemade Movies, the series, hasn't existed for a while. That was canceled, but I'm just making this one purely for fun on my channel, just for you guys. Unfortunately, Warner Brothers has actually blocked my video from being monetized because it claims it has copyrighted content even after I appealed it, which is a real bummer because I feel that a fan creation such as this should be celebrated, not punished. But if you want to support me, just please go watch all the other stuff on my channel. Share it with your friends. I just want people to see it and enjoy it, and that's really why I'm making these. So thanks for watching anyway. I hope you liked it.